even though it says it's still setting up the live, I know they can probably see us. So everybody smile. All right. Hi, guys. Do you remember Brands One Live? Because it has been like 3 months. It's been a while. But Jen Wells here, co-founder of Brand Swan, and I am excited to be back. And I'm even more excited for the topic today because, like probably most of the world, I live between one stressor and another, and I dive into different situations. And if I'm ever not stressed, I go and I find something challenging to stress myself out. So that's just where I live. And so today, Michelle Jaslin is joining us to talk about her own personal journey with stress and also her expertise in dealing with things like the mind, body, spirit connection and how those things can kind of help us overcome those obstacles. So let me tell you a little bit about Michelle before I get started. Michelle is the CEO and founder of Make Healthy Fit, which is a holistic health and wellness company that provides various products and services that help women tap into the barriers that are holding them back. She is also a coach, author, and speaker. So I know she's going to blow us away today. So go ahead, Michelle, tell us more.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that nice introduction. So there was a time in my life before I was a health and life coach, and I was still working in the corporate world, where I thought my life was like, I felt like I was surfing on these fluffy clouds, right? I was so happy in my life. It was a time where I'd conquered all of my health, including reversing my type 2 diabetes and heart disease and my obesity. I went back to school for another career. And my daughter was in college. So here I was deciding, hey, I'm going to have fun. And this is where I was. I wasn't in any stress. And the interesting part was, not only was I back in college in an accelerated course to finish my degree, I was also working a full-time job. And after I conquered my health, even though I hadn't become a health coach yet, I had started a business. So I was really flying high. I was going from Maine all the way down to Georgia, going to concerts, getting my pictures taken with rock stars. I was having fun. And I got to the point where my nickname was Smiley. And then stress, which is something that most people have, almost took my life. So what most people don't know about me is that in this time of my life where I was still in the corporate world, about ready to jump out, I was attacked through a cybercrime initially. That cybercrime turned into a very stressful situation in my life because I was living in fear. Things were being duplicated on my computer. I had to go to the cybercrime unit with lawyers. I was talking to police. I was talking to FBI agents. And what I learned, and this is what caused me stress, nobody could help me. For many of you who are on Facebook, right, I'm going to tell you right now, one of the things I learned there is 50% of all Facebook pages are imposter accounts. And Facebook will do nothing about them because they get advertising dollars for as many pages as you have. And unless you have tons of evidence, and I was being threatened, unless you have tons of evidence and things that were profanity that people were using against me didn't even count. Facebook didn't count. You had to be naked or something. So the bottom line was they basically told me nobody could help me. And I was suffering. My business got to the point where I was almost afraid to go online because of the posts. I was even told I was targeted, and I didn't understand what was happening in my life. So the stress, and I thought it was just fear, right? And I didn't know whether, it was going to go away or not. So I'm sharing all that because what ended up happening in 2015 is I ended up in the hospital twice. The first time, I was actually thinking I was feeling fine. So this is important for you all to know. I just finished a course online for my college class, decided I was going to get a little glass of wine to celebrate, like I'm by myself in the house. I start to walk over to the kitchen, and that's the last thing I remember. I woke up on the floor. My kitchen table was across the room. There was a chair laying on side of me. There was blood on the floor. And somehow I crawled my way into the bathroom. Both my sisters are nurses, and I called them. And I realized I was in pain. My sister's telling me to call an ambulance, and I'm refusing to go. Her babies were in bed. She finally decided she was going to come. But in the meantime, when I realized, I looked down and my toe was completely crushed. My big toe was sideways, and apparently the chair had fallen on it. Got to the hospital, and I'm trying to tell them what was going on in my life. And I won't go into the details, but what happens in a hospital is they have protocols. So they're running the neurological testing, right? Because I worked in healthcare for 30 years, and they're running the cardiology testing. And I'm trying to tell them I had lost my appetite. Like, I was thinking that the reason that I passed out is here I had conquered my diabetes, and I knew how important it was for me to eat snacks, but the stress, for some reason, I had no appetite. So the question is, has anybody ever been so upset that they just didn't have an appetite anymore? Right? Or they're so stressed and working hard at work that they skip meals or whatever it is. They don't even realize they're hungry, and they really are. Their body's craving food. So what happened is, I'm trying to tell them, yes, I was forcing myself to eat small meals, but I wasn't eating any snacks in between, and they're ignoring me. So the next day I tell them they need to discharge me, even in a snowstorm. You need to let me go. They did tell me to follow up with my doctor and an orthopedic doctor, because I had to have stem cells removed from my hip in order to fuse my toe, which no longer is flexible. It is straight. So I tell you all that because now this is where I found out what happened to me, really. I get to my family doctor, and my family doctor takes a look at my lab tests, and they said, didn't anybody in the hospital tell you that you have this thyroid, test that shows that part of your thyroid looks like it's fine, and the other one looks like we're over giving you medicine, which I had some throat, surgery prior to that many years ago. He said, I know it's because of what's happening in your life. He says, did you ever hear about the fight and flight syndrome? Has any of you on here? If so, please write it. Okay. So the fight and flight syndrome now to me is very, very important, because it really is something that can shut every organ in your body down. In some ways you hear these stories about fight and flight where, people are like, they're in an accident and they can lift a car, right? And they have all this energy in their arms. And then there's these other times where the stress makes them very, very ill. And so he said to me, Michelle, the reason you didn't have an appetite is just that reason. Your body was shutting down. This trauma that you had, he said, those thoughts about your stress that was causing you stress, he said, what was happening is your gut and your heart are both attached to your brain. So when your brain is thinking these thoughts, it is sending signals that they need to take your blood and they need to put it somewhere else to make you strong, because they can't tell whether there is a tiger chasing you or whether or not that is just a thought. So I want you to think about this. The outside world is around us, right? And that is what we allow to change us. We allow everything that's going on with the pandemic, what people say about us, their opinions. When somebody tells us something to do at work and it's another thing and it feels heavy on our shoulders, what we do is we have a perception of those things, and how we perceive those things become our thoughts. And so I will tell you a little bit more, because that story is not done. But what I did learn very quickly was this, that our emotions are our mentor. They are telling us there is something wrong when we're angry, sad, stressed, whatever, that there's something wrong in your body if you have a negative emotion that's making you sick or upset, and you need to go back and look at the thought that created it. What are you thinking right now that is triggering you to feel stressed? And you have a choice. Now I need to tell you that when somebody told me that I had a choice, I really was like, I just had all of this thing gonna have people attack me. And you're telling me that, and I literally fought it. So you need to know that I suffered for many years because I refused to believe the truth about how I could change not just my thoughts, but to change my life in so many ways. So what happened is when I really decided I needed to make a difference is December came around because my first fainting was in February. So literally right before the end of the year of Christmas, I passed out this time in my house in the kitchen with toast in the, again, in the toaster that never got out of it. And I must have fallen like this, boom, boom, so that my coccyx bone was hard and I had a welt on the back of my head. My sister took me over to Delaware to the hospital, and for 3 days they were running tests on me. And here's the amazing thing. All they could find is one abnormal heartbeat that they said could be a problem for me, but they couldn't determine if that's what really was causing me to faint and I had a heart issue, or, you know, if it was something benign. Now, what I'll tell you is after 3 days in the hospital, having a MRI for cardiac and all of that, $100,000 almost dollars later in health expenses over stress. And what they found after I went through a 2-hour MRI was, you don't have a problem. There is nothing wrong with you except what's in your head. You're perfect, right? That's pretty scary. It is our mind that is connected to our body, and this is how it works. We think a thought, and that thought sends to our brain. So we perceive the world or whatever is happening in our life, whatever we have to do, and this thought comes up. And that thought will then tell the brain that, right? And the brain, that this is your body, is this amazing, amazing computer. And your body now says, okay, I'm going to send that to your blood. And your blood will conform. So whatever you're feeling, happy, sad, whatever, and it'll say, okay, there's something wrong. As I said before, there's something wrong in this body and we need to protect it. So think about a time, whether you've had an injury, a hand injury where you've cut yourself or a sprained ankle. And what happens? It turns red, but doesn't it heal itself eventually? It's a miracle because you know what the body knows? It knows where to put your energy. It says, oh, there's a problem with the ankle. That's why it's swelling, to let you know there's a problem and it's turning red. And so now the body knows the cells, the blood is going through your whole bloodstream, right? That's what your bloodstream is. It is literally informing every one of your organs, every cell in your body of what to do. So it says, okay, we need to send all of the people, all the cells that need to heal this ankle over here. And that's where it's going to go. And we're going to weaken the rest of your body for a while. But that is healthy. That's sort of a healthy inflammation, if you think about it, right? It's a healthy inflammation to let you know that something's wrong. And now you know you have to fix it. Do we try to fix our stress? Anybody have tried to fix their stress? Probably not, right? That's the whole thing, right? Like oh yeah, I got a sprained ankle, or I got to go get a Band-Aid for my finger because it's bleeding. But we don't think about what we're doing with our mind. And so many people have these negative feelings about, you know, mind issues because they're afraid it's about like mental health. And guess what? It is about mental health. We have to take care of our mental health. And so when you start to realize that you have a choice, that this flame can either ignite poor health or it can ignite healing, right? So when you have that thought, I have a sprained ankle, I'm not real happy, so I cry at first and I'm mad because I can't go somewhere, but then I go and do what I need to do. I lift it, I put a brace on it, I put ice on it, I do whatever I have to do. We have to learn to live that way when we're having thoughts that are not helping our body in any way. And so the second time, like I said, that I fainted is when I realized I really needed to understand this about myself and how to get out of that funk. And so if you are in a job now there are specific stressors that are healthy and specific stressors that are unhealthy. So if you're in a job right now, we're going to talk about this next. And then we're going to talk, we talked a little bit about it, how it affects your health. And now we're going to talk a little bit about what is healthy stress and unhealthy stress, and then what you can do about it. So if you're working in a job and you're challenged by a new project, right? You're challenged by a new project and you don't, these are skills you don't have, but it's challenging you to learn something, to grow, whatever. That's typically a healthy stress, because it's really about helping you to grow and to take on something that's going to challenge you. And actually, in the end, what happens when you finish that? Do you feel good? Yeah, right? Unhealthy stress might be when you're in a job and that job is giving you more than you can handle. There's not enough resources, and they're expecting you to do things that you don't have skills for, nor do you have anybody to help train you on them or whatever. So that is more of the negative stress. The problem is, I just shared with you that what stress did to my body was to impact my digestion. But you can see that it harmed me in other ways, because I ended up having to get an implant in my chest, which was for 5 years. I just got it out this year, that proved that there was nothing ever wrong with my heart, right? Cost me a lot of money, but it also accelerates aging. And I saw it happen in my life. Here I was, I conquered all my health issues, and people were like, I felt like a teenager. I was acting like it. I looked like it. And then within a matter of a few years of not letting go, I could not let go of what happened to me. I was in hate sometimes. I was in pain, and I was afraid it was going to happen to me again, because when something happens like that, you know it's possible. But it also makes it hard for people to sleep. They actually had to put me on a little bit of a medicine for a while, not because of fear, just because the stress was in me so much, I was disrupting my sleep. So again, a lot of times, if you've got so much on your mind, say you've got a job to do and you've got so much on your mind, you can't shut your mind off. That's a part of stress. It also increases heart disease. It worsens diabetes. It actually is playing with all of everything in your body. Because if your body is taking your blood, and in this situation where I said it doesn't know whether it's a tiger or it's something you're perceiving on the outside, it's going to take that blood and put it in your limbs, because your limbs is where you're going to be strong and fight back. It's thinking you're trying to fight back. So it's taking what you need out of your immune system, out of your gut and everything else, and it is weakening your body. It's silent. So now it starts to muddle your brain. Your brain starts to shrink. It starts to impair the brain. People are more likely to smoke and do emotional eating. It increases the risk of anxiety and depression and migraine headaches and infertility if people are trying to have babies. Does that sound like something any of you want? No. But do we ever think that that's really what stress is doing to us? Some people hold it as a badge of, I work so hard. And here's the thing, when I talk to you next about what you can do about it, the first thing that we all have to do is to become aware of the truth, that we have a choice. We have a choice to change our thought. So that's why I say I wake up and the first thing I do is I check on my emotions. And there are some days where I'm like, oh boy, I know it's coming today, and I have to choose how I want my day to be. And I have to realize, is this something I can control or something that I can't control? And we have a tendency in our life to want to change things that we have no control over. Think about it with the pandemic. And this is a hot issue, so why I'm bringing it up. There are a lot of people out there who are saying, don't tell me what to do with my body. And there's other people who are saying, what's wrong with you people? This pandemic's never going to end if you don't get your vaccine. The truth of the matter is, I'm not judging anybody. I do not judge. But the truth of the matter is, I see people all over the internet stressing so bad because they're in hate and anger and madness, and they are spending their life and their time It's fine to use your voice. We should all be advocates of what we believe in. I'm a health coach and I'm advocating for people's health, right? I advocate with the American Diabetes Association. There's a difference between sharing your beliefs and condemning other people and making it so painful in your body because you can't change it. What I say to people, that's where you have to let go. If your current circumstances are not changeable, okay, because you don't have control over it, it's somebody else. You're trying to change somebody. You can't change people. People can only change themselves. So you are making yourself sick. You have to let it go. Now, if you're in a job and you're stressed and you're miserable in your job and you're complaining about it all the time, do you have control over that? Yes. So now it's a choice. And you either can choose every day to think a thought that's going to make you feel better in that job, or you make a choice to leave, to change. I made a choice. I'd already become a health coach, and I was coaching people in the evening, but I was staying in a job that was no longer fulfilling me. It was burning me out. I was responsible for all the offshore vendors in India and the Philippines. People would, like, my team was like the melted cheese in the middle of a grilled cheese sandwich. And I thought, what am I still doing here? And I took the leap and left the corporate world on faith. Because I knew, remember this, I knew if my health, if I kept thinking the way I did and was unhappy, my health would disintegrate. And I was not going to allow a job. I would rather to allow what I had learned about creating inner peace. And so what we have to accept in our life is that we are the holders of our own inner peace with our own thoughts and how we comprehend the world. So how do we do that? Well, I shared one way with you. Is the first one is awareness, right? You have to be aware of it. That's why I'm making you aware, right? You have to be aware that it's your thought, right? It's your thought and I can do something about it. But sometimes those thoughts are really hard. And, it's okay when you're in grief, when somebody you love dies, and those things are okay, right? Those are things that for a time you need to grieve, you need to get these emotions out, because if you do not get your emotions out, they will stay harbored within your neurology and they will keep coming up and keep coming up. And that is going to be the thought that you have all the time. So I beg for people who've been through any kind of trauma or really big disease, that this trauma is stress. And if you don't start to get help for that and to be able to get that out of your body, it will stay in there. It's sort of like I explain to people, it's like your favorite song that automatically pops up in your head when you hear the song and you go, oh, the lyrics, and you can start singing it and you haven't heard the song in 10 years, right? It's buried in your left side brain, okay? So I'm going to tell you one more thing before I give you the rest of the coping mechanisms to make anybody here who's skeptical about this get it, okay? If any of you are in a relationship, a loving relationship with a partner of any kind, and you've ever thought an arousing thought about that person, how did that change your body? What happens in your body, right? What freaking happens, right? You are telling your brain what you want. This isn't just about stress. Stress is involved in every negative emotion, whether it's anger, fear, resentment, they're all stress. That's what stress is. It's not accepting your current situation. And when you're at lack of ease, you create dis-ease, disease. We have control over our life and our health. And most people don't realize that just with your mind and your thoughts, you can change how much you weigh. If you have a positive thought and say, okay, I believe in 3 months from now, I'm going to actually lose weight. And you may not even do anything about it. I'm not kidding. They have done studies where people who have worked in hotels, they have told one group of cleaners that ask them, and they, oh, we can never lose weight or whatever. They have weight issues. And then they'll tell one, it's like a placebo. They'll say, oh, didn't you realize that all that pushing of the carts and all this doing, that is physical activity. And they get it in their head that they're exercising every day. And the next thing you know, they're shedding pounds. They've never changed. We have the ability to control the DNA in our body. When we are stressed, the DNA shrinks like this. And when we were unstressed, it lays out and it's soft and calming. So if that's the case, what do we want to do? We want to calm our body. And so there are ways to do that. Once you start paying attention to how you feel, that's one way. So what if it's really hard for you to change that thought? Even if you're in a job, go outside or go in a bathroom and take some deep breaths. This is the simplest thing you can do, is to take deep breaths, because what most people do is they breathe from their shoulders up. That is shallow breathing. Your body is not getting enough oxygen. So when you do a deep inhale, which you can hold your hands on your stomach and then inhale, you want your belly to come out like a balloon till it almost hurts. And you can hold it for a couple of seconds and then and you exhale out. And if you do that like 3 times, you're literally allowing your brain, which is connected to your gut, you are allowing your brain and gut connection and everything in your central nervous system to calm. So I just want you real quickly now, for anybody that's on here, just to shut your eyes real quickly. And I want you to do that once. I just want you to shut your eyes and take a really deep inhale to the count of 4. And then I want you to exhale slowly and deeply to the count of 4. And then you can open your eyes. And what does that one experience feel like? It feels good. Imagine doing it 3 times. It is not hard to do. People can do it in cars. I tell people, anywhere you are, if you're in traffic and you're in stress, do it. Just sit there and just breathe and do what you need to do. This is why mindfulness is different than just, meditation. Mindfulness is being mindful of your thoughts, being mindful of what you're thinking about and acting on them a certain way. But meditation is also another way. And no, a lot of people have this belief that you have to get rid of your thoughts. You will never get rid of your thoughts. But if you keep trying and doing a short, like 5-minute, music mindfulness, and all you're doing is breath work and paying attention to your normal breath, and just paying attention to the rising of your chest and the relaxing of your chest, what happens is, and you'll find yourself, oh gosh, I'm thinking about that project again. And then you bring it back and you start to focus on your breath again. So what you're doing is you are training your brain. You will never get rid of thoughts, but over time, and it takes years sometimes, you become at this state of peace where your brain will automatically be calm for you. It is life-changing. Another thing is go take a nature walk. Our bodies are actually, we survive by the earth. We get our food from the soil. We get our sunlight and our moon and the energy that comes into our body. We can't live. Everything in this world is energy. Think about all your technology, right? And we get our water, which is our hydration. So when we are grounded in the earth, when we are out in nature, our body is picking up all these different probiotics and prebiotics and all the stuff that helps our body and our health. So that's another way that you can do that. Another way is to commit to nourish your soul with gratitude. And I was all told that when I was attacked. You need to start thinking about everything that you're grateful for. You need to start it could be as simple as, there's a sun out today. The sun is shining. I don't have to work extra hours today. Sometimes it was really hard for me to find that, but I actually had, and it doesn't mean you have to write it. Sometimes writing it is good. Sometimes saying it out loud. I got to the point now where I just say it to myself in my head, but for a very long time, I said it out loud. I'm really grateful that my daughter had a grandchild because she had struggled with it. I'm really grateful for whatever. And what that's doing is it's sending to your brain these positive things. And the more you're grateful and the more you're thinking positive things, the healthier your mind becomes. The other thing is to nurture your spirit with fun things to do. So if you've had a really bad day, take a hot bath, soak your feet, go have a little glass of wine, do whatever it is that makes you happy, but you have to nourish your soul, right? And relax your body and relax your mind. So ask yourself, what are some of the things that you do for yourself for self-care? Do you want to know what I do now when I'm having one of those days? I am fortunate enough to have jets in my little bathtub. It's not a jacuzzi, but it's a bathtub with some jets, which it's not working right now, but that's okay. So get in the tub. And I have one of those little shelves that go across, and here you can put your glass of wine, and you can put a candle over here, and I can put an iPad on it, and I turn on like soft music, even sound bath music sometimes, or some spiritual music. And I get a book, like I have a mindfulness book by Deepak Chopra right now. But the whole time I was in my spiritual psychology class, all of the work that I had to do, I would take those books I had to read, like they were about business, The Big Leap, that kind of thing, and I would read them in the bath. And a lot of people don't like to take a bath. Well, then take salts that soak your feet in the salt. And, a lot of things like Epsom salt are detoxing, and it'll take that toxic stuff out of your body, because you have a toxic thought, it's creating some toxins in your body, right? And think about it this way, especially with what's going on with pandemic and you wanting to protect your body. If our immune system is weak and we're creating that weakness through our own stress, our immune system's job is one thing. It is to fight off all foreign objects. Anything foreign that's coming in. It's a virus. It's an infection. What is that they just ate? Because I have no idea what that ingredient is, and I don't like it. So we need to get rid of it because it's going to make you sick. And so the immune system's working really hard for you. And this is why people are miracles, right? Because our body it is like this human computer that is on your side. It is programmed to heal your body. When I tell you that there are people out there who've had cancer, thousands of them, and I'm not saying this for everybody because then people get upset about it, but the truth is I have watched dozens of healing summits, and there are miracle people out there who have done this with lifestyle changes, some supplements, and meditation and other ways that they have healed their body with their mind because of their thoughts of being positive. And that is why some people say, positive toxicity. I can't stand all those positive people. Well, you know what? It's not about being positive every day. It's about lifting yourself up, being kind to yourself. So when you're looking at all these things that you should do, the worst thing you should do is ever judge yourself. So if I'm telling you something today and you've done it and you're like, oh man, right? And you're beating yourself up, what are you doing? That's a negative thought, right? So what I tell people is you never, ever have negative self-talk against yourself. I'm dumb. I can't get that done. I'll never be able to do this, right? Your brain is listening. As Dr. Amen says, the #1 psychiatrist in the whole world, he says your brain is always listening and it's involved in every decision that you make. And the famous Louise Hay, who departed in her 60s, who had so much trauma and things in her young life as a child, who went on to create the Hay House and all that, one of her quotes is, every thought that you're thinking is creating your future. So we're so worried about things like our weight and all of these things that are outside of us, our body, what's going on here. And people don't take the time to nurture their mind. So I'm challenging everybody to do that. And when you do that, think of every time that you're in lack of ease, whether it's I got so much on my plate to do, or you're mad at somebody because you don't agree with what they believe in. And so you're writing all over their YouTube. I hope you're not doing this, right? All over their Facebook and how much you hate what they're saying. You know, if it's something that you want to express your opinion about and you're fine and you let it go, that's okay. But remember this, when you resist anything, you're in lack of ease, and lack of ease creates disease. So what happens is we could already have a condition. So say that we're already have some chronic condition or like diabetes or whatever. That's why stress impacts these things, increases anxiety, increases all of this stuff. And it actually, just so you know, it is very connected with heart disease, to the point that almost all heart attacks happen on a Monday. There's a statistic that almost all heart attacks happen on a Monday because that's when people return to work. So think about that. You know, you don't want a heart attack, right? So how do we deal with this? Instead of beating ourselves up, we just catch ourselves and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was sitting there doing that. Make a joke out of it, do whatever what you want, and then think something better. Because when you stay in negativity and then you beat yourself up, now you're dealing with two different problems. You already had a health issue, whatever it was, whether it's your diabetes, your weight, you know, some other disease in your body, and now you're adding to it. It's not helping it. This is why when we are in our worst part of our day, the worst part of our life, whatever it is, the thing that we can do the best is be mindful of our thoughts, express what we're thankful for, and think of all the things that are good instead of all the things that are bad. It is not easy, but it is possible for us. There is another quote I want to share, and it says, strengthen the belief that you are a beneficiary of life, not a victim. You're benefiting from life. This is a miracle that we have. I think about the sky, think about the moon, think about, you know, everything is connected with us. And this is key to having the capacity to resist your condition. So whatever condition that is, whether it's a work condition, a body condition, whatever it is, don't resist it. Accept it for what it is. Oh, she gave me that big project again. I got 3 projects I got to do today. And if I sit there and think about it over and over, here is the next step. What do I have to do just today? You live in the present moment. What people do is why they have all these thoughts. They're even living in the past, right, of all their pain and what happened to them, like I was, or they are they're looking at tomorrow and they're looking at how much they got going on and they're never going to do it. They can't possibly get this done in that time. And they're thinking of the future instead of saying, okay, today is all I have. Tomorrow's not promised. What do I have to get done today? And how am I going to enjoy it? Right? What do I have to do today? Make yourself a list, whatever that is. So if you are working in the workplace, the things that commonly cause stress are when you try to multitask. People think multitasking, yes, some people have actually a really good skill about that and it doesn't hurt them, but multitasking for a lot of people can cause stress, disorganization, even in your house. If you've got all them plastic lids all over and your bowls are all over and you can't put a meal on the table because you can't find something to store it in, over management, interpersonal relationships, blame culture, if we're blaming someone else, like all of these things cause stress. The way somebody talks to you and you don't like it. So this will be like one of the last things I share with you, and it was the hardest that I've ever had to do, especially as an entrepreneur. We allow not just the behaviors of others, but what people think about us to hurt us. Right? Somebody criticizes our hair, criticizes our body, criticizes what we're doing. And I want you to realize when you do that, it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of that person. It's a reflection of them. A lot of times when people hurt us and say those things, it's because we've triggered something in them that they don't like. So imagine that you're successful and they've dreamed of success, and that's not coming to them in their life. Why they're so bitter is because inside the universe is saying, well, you wanted it, but you're not taking action on it. So that's why it hurt you. And that hurt inside of you is hurting other people, and hurt people hurt people. People who are happy do not hurt other people all the time. They don't, except if it's sports like the Phillies and you got all these good people that scream at you and they make fun of the stars. That's why all the stars and all they'll say being in Hollywood is not something to celebrate. It is something to survive, because they're humans just like us and they have emotions and we attack them every day. So imagine that you're one of those strong Philadelphia Phillies, if you're in this area, or you're an actress and somebody who's just taking a picture of you on the beach with your cellulite. Okay. That's what they have to deal with. And they have to let it go because they know that's not really about them. That's somebody who really must not like themselves in order to be able to attack somebody else. So love yourself enough to love your mind, love your body, and love everything about you, and be grateful for what you have. And I hope that me sharing this has helped you in some way see things differently about stress. And so I do want to open it up for some questions, if that's okay.
Yes, for the people watching on Facebook, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and then we'll relay them to Michelle. I'm actually going to start because I have a question.
Yes.
So I feel like a lot of it with like your mind has this power over your body and you could change your thoughts. But how do you, if you're not very self-aware, how do you start catching yourself in the moment?
That's a great one. And what I will suggest to people is get yourself, like I've done this for some of my clients. They actually have like little cards or something in front of them, like even to take a break. Like I have a client right now who has a really hard, big job. And, she doesn't take breaks at all at her work. And she's had issues with her health for many, many times around that. And it's important for her to get that nutrition in her body. And so part of what and it's her thoughts, because she's so stressed, right? She's got a big job. And so what I'll say to her is, these are your values. So think about what you value in life. And if you value your health, if you value your time, and you want to get certain things done, whatever it is, put those things in front of you somehow to remind you, take a break. Like I learned from Brendan Burchard, if anybody knows him, he's like a international speaker. And he said when he does everything, every hour, if possible, if he's not in a meeting, he gives himself 10 minutes. So he'll work for 50 minutes and he'll take a 10 to 5 minute break, get up out of the chair, go walk over by the window, walk out in nature for 5 minutes, clear his mind. He said, when you clear your mind, take that 5 minutes. He said, you're not going to believe that you're going to become more productive than you ever were. So I did that writing a book. I wrote a book in 6 months and I won an award from the school that I graduated from. And the way I did that is I turned my phone off when I was writing only, but I put an alarm on it for every 50 minutes. And I got up and I did just what he said. I wrote the book in 6 months. I don't think I would have ever been productive if I didn't do that, because I would have sat there, got myself sick, whatever it was. So awareness, the first step to awareness is to do that, is to put something in front of you that makes you aware. And the other could be that you decide to start a journal. And it could be in the evening or something where you just write how your day was and what thoughts came up for you. And then you start realizing your thoughts, right? And a lot of people are saying, well, I'm too busy to do that, right? So it really is what everybody else thinks about. But it's all of these different practices that you can do. If you don't have a meditation practice, it's breathing, but to remind yourself and to become aware really takes you to put something in front of yourself or to have an accountability partner. I just had a client last night and her husband is going to be her accountability partner. She said, when I get home, because she is like a partner in a firm, and she said, when I get home, I always have an excuse because I'm tired and she has pain in her body. And she said, she says, I'm just going to ask my husband when I sit down, if he catches me, she said, even if I only do something for 10 to 15 minutes, I just don't want to keep telling myself I can't. So I'm going to tell him, if I make an excuse, don't allow me. So you might want to have somebody at work who's your accountability partner.
Oh, I was going to say, it can't be my husband. That would cause too many arguments.
Yeah. Right. So it really is going to be what works for you. But those are the things, sometimes having an accountability partner, starting a journal, doing meditation. It's about committing to something. You have to commit to something that's going to remind you of that. And that is why a lot of people end up getting support, because I didn't share this. The reason why it's so hard to change even stress is that our left side brain is where we store. It is our intelligence side. It's where we process math and all the intelligence in our body. And it's also where we store things, which is why sleep's so important, because when you sleep, it's taking everything you learned and everything you've said, and it's putting it in this file cabinet. But because your file cabinet can only hold so much, it's not going to remember the things that you don't really care about. So if I'm talking to you about something today and you're not interested, you're going to, I don't care. Off, gone, your brain doesn't keep it. But if it's a song that you love, or it's a day you got married, or whatever it is, that memory is in there. You might remind you of every detail. So that file box is over here, which is different than over here. This is your intuition and your right size brain. It is your creativity. So many people stay over here in their intelligence that they're not as creative either, because they're not listening to their gut. So if your gut is saying, take a break, go eat, go to meditation and make yourself unstressed, whatever you're telling yourself over here is what you really should do. But the intelligence part of your brain is saying, no, you got too much to do. You are not logging out there and you're not doing it. And it is convincing you. 95% of your left brain, which is your intelligence, is telling you no, because that's its comfort zone. That's what you've told it you like, because you've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. That's how you've trained your brain. So now over here, you're snuffing your creativity on purpose. You're not going in and doing that journal writing. You're snuffing everything in your life that you really want in your intuition. So that's the other thing, is to listen to intuition. So I say this because don't feel bad that it's going to take you time. What people think is they give up. Oh, I can't do this. Nope, try again. Just don't ever give up. It's like being an entrepreneur. Do not ever give up. Just keep on going. Just keep on going. Just keep on going, right? Because things aren't always easy and you have to keep on going. So what happens is 95% of your brain is telling you no, and 5% is cheering you on. So this is where I and I will say this to everybody, Brand Swan helped me with my branding. So they know what one of my visions is. And my company's vision is to raise the consciousness of humanity so they can experience more, like better health, better joy, and even from the planet. Because what happens is it takes time to raise our consciousness. And that consciousness is what we really want. What is the right thing to do? What is it that we really want? And then to remember that it's going to take a long time for us to retrain this brain. And that's why it's important sometimes to have a partner to help you, or a coach. Even coaches, business coaches have coaches, and it goes on and on and on sometimes, because sometimes it takes somebody else to keep us accountable to not giving up. It's not that we don't know what to do. It's about these systems that are in our mind that have to change. So, and it's very rare that people are automatic with anything. There are things that we are automatic with. Like, does anybody get up every morning and say, I think I should brush my teeth, and I think I know how. It's like, no, because you trained your brain. That is a program in your head. You know that you have to do it. You automatically do it, and it's there. And it's a level of learning experiences. Now that I've taught you, you are incompetent. In other words, you're not incompetent anymore. It's conscious and competent. I should say that, because if you didn't know this before, then this is a new skill you're going to have to learn. And so you're conscious of it now, but you're incompetent to do it yet until you start doing it, right? And then once you start doing it, you're going to build your competency. It's no different than starting a new job. When you get into a new job and they give you a new skill, you don't know how to do it, but somebody knows that you have to do it because somebody's forcing you to do it, right? So you're learning, you're going and figuring it out, and you're reading on your own, and you're trying to understand. And that's really what this is all about. It's about not beating yourself up. It's about being a teacher of yourself. Now that you know this, what can you do about it? And the journey that I went on was, not only did I graduate as a health coach, but because of my trauma, I decided to go get help that way. And I became a neurotransformational coach, which really helps people embody traumas and get rid of them and all of that. But it was for helping me, because I had to get coached like 30 hours from people because they were testing me. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting more out. I'm getting more out of all the trauma that I had in my body. And then I went back to spiritual psychology so you can see that even my journey took time. So I knew what I needed to do, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't getting rid of all of those that head talk for a long time. It just got better and better and better. And now, I try to help people, even my parents, to create that inner peace. Like I see my parents living in fear over the pandemic because of their age, and they see these states and these countries that people are dying. And I, keep asking them, well, is there something you can do about it? My mom said, yes, I just wrote, or I called there's somebody in Congress or in the politics. And my dad, it's like, no, but he gets really defensive with me when I bring it up to him. And this is what I said to him. I'm not trying to convert you. I am not trying in any way to change you, and I am not judging you. You are judging yourself. I'm not judging you. The only reason I'm sharing with you is because I don't want people to hurt. I have enough knowledge now and enough experience to know that we change our body. I was holding on to weight from my stress, not only from emotional eating. It's just that my body wasn't working the way it should. So it was holding on. And I did forget that one tip that's really critical. When we're in stress, do not eat before you breathe, because your body begins to prepare for food the minute you start thinking about food. And if your body's under stress, your body's not working right. And so it is not going to absorb, no matter what good organic kale or whatever you eat, it is not going to absorb the nutrients in the food like it's supposed to, because it's going down this digestive tract that's connected to your brain. It's your second brain. And so I tell all of my clients, all of them, the one thing you need to be most mindful of right now is before you have a meal, just take a minute to take 3 deep breaths. You can do it right there, or, right in the bathroom or wherever you need to go, a closet, and then sit down and don't inhale your food. Just enjoy your food. That amount of health is going to be amazing to you. It changes your body.
Yeah, I have a whole page of notes from your talk today, Michelle. This has been really awesome. I think we are going to have to shut it down now, but go ahead and tell people where they can find you online, or how they can follow up with you if they want to connect with you.
Sure. The best way to connect with me is actually to go to my website, because I have links where I offer, free 60-minute consultation, and I have lots of freebies on there, and you can just learn more about me. And that is, my business is Make Healthy Fit, and I named it that way because I had to make healthy fit in my life. At the time that I was unhealthy, I was working on 19 hospitals from Maine to Florida. So makehealthyfit.coach or makehealthyfit.com, but it's makehealthyfit.coach. And so if you go there, you'll get that. And also there is a link, I believe, that you have for them for some of these coping methods. I sent you a new link so that you can take them with you.
Okay. Yes, we'll be sharing that resource in the comments for this video. And for those of you who registered, we'll be sending it out as an email as well, along with the link to Michelle's website, which we're very proud of, and her consultation links. We're always excited to share websites when we got to work on it. So thanks again. We're going to shut down the Facebook Live now. We do have another session planned for the 29th. That'll be me and Jane, and we're going to be talking about some of the lessons we learned in our first year of building this business together, because things took off more than we expected, but that doesn't mean there weren't challenges. And I think we both have learned a lot from being in a partnership for the first time. So that will be on the 29th at 2 p.m. I hope I'll see some of you there. And thanks again, Michelle.